and ra, basically. If you go to New York, for example, again, you'll find people who are semi-rhotic, which means sometimes they use ra, sometimes they don't pronounce r, sometimes they say ra. It depends, okay? But that's not the standard American pronunciation. We come to recent changes, mid-20th century. Words like pour, sure, cure, your, and your, again, are pronounced like that today, normally pronounced like that, but in the past they had ur. So pour, sure, cure, your, and your. Many non-native speakers of English, for example, say your, but this is normally your, not your, again. And I know that many people of my age in Italy say sure, sure. That's normally sure. It's in the dictionary. In syllables that are not accented, for example, in words like possible, the syllable that is not accented is the second one in this case that I'm interested in. In the past, people would say possible. Today, it's possible, possible, visible, sanity, carelessness, readily. So when people speak quickly, they say something like readily, which you might think is probably associated with red, the color. But no, readily is prontamente. Some people might use a ter in words like fence, instance, conscience, or a per in emphasis, emphasis. This is called epenthesis. It's using an extra sound that you might not want to use, that's not traditional if you want, but that's just because of the timing of your articulation. And then one thing I think is extremely important is yod coalescence. Now, yod coalescence is exactly what we've been discussing so far when I told you about would you. Actual, not actual. Actual. Perceptual, not usually perceptual. And gradual, not gradual is still possible, but it's extremely old-fashioned. Okay. And then the T. Now, the T is problematic in English today. Well, not only today. If you think that when you see a T in the spelling, it is not always pronounced T. Sometimes the T is silent, it's not pronounced. Sometimes it's pronounced in a different way. If you think of the word football, for example. Now, in football, the T can be pronounced as a T, so people might say football. But the usual pronunciation is not with T. The usual pronunciation is football. Football. Now, the T is not pronounced, if you want, in an alveolar way. Alveolar means that you're putting the tip of the tongue towards the back of the upper teeth. It is not that pronunciation we want. The other pronunciation pronounce the T at the glottis. So what you do is you're closing your glottis. There's no air. The air is blocked coming from the lungs. And so you hear a sort of silence, basically. Football. Football. This is called glottal stop. And it's extremely common in English. It's everywhere. Even the Queen uses glottal stops. It's come from Cockney, which is the dialect of London. In the past, it was considered uneducated, but now it's standard. And it is standard in particular positions within the word or the sentence. Football, everybody says football. Witness again, witness, witness. Atlas becomes atlas, atlas. Network becomes network, network. quite good becomes quite good. Quite good. So sometimes I'm saying this not because you have to use a glossal stop, but just because it's used an awful lot of times, basically. If you hear people say quite, and you don't know what they're saying, you know that it can be quite, because the T on the end can become quite. It is possible, for example, to use a glossal stop even with P. So stop can be pronounced stop. Stop. What I do with my students at university is I normally test them before we start, and I ask them to hear pronunciations from the dictionary without looking at the spelling. And I ask them to guess which word it is. Well, I give them 10 words. 9 words out of 10 they get wrong. Why? Because they don't recognize. It's words like I am, you are, of. Very simple words that they use all the time that they know, but they can't recognize them because they're pronounced in a different way that they were not taught to pronounce. Okay, and then there are other changes that have happened in the late 20th century. Happy, coffee, valley, various, radiate, all these words that have E on the end of the syllable were pronounced E in the past. So happy in the past was happy. And if people come from northern England, you're still likely to hear them say happy. 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 This would be happy because it's a regional pronunciation. Words like with O, yes. Valley is the same, would be valet. But today, valley. Valley, yes, yes. Words like told, cold, goal, whole, they normally have this O sound today before the L, but in the past, they would have O. So in the past, people would say told, cold, goal, and whole. Prince Charles still says O, uses O before dark L. But William and Harry, they don't use O, they use O. This is not a study that I conducted, but I've been watching lots of videos from the BBC, and I'm able to tell you that there is this huge difference between the same family, if you want. Yes?
So the correct pronunciation is?
The correct pronunciation would be told, cold, and goal and whole with O. It's not the told and cold are not correct. They are correct, but they're incredibly old-fashioned. And then in words like spoon, you, good, Susan, Lewis, and news. Now, many Italians tend to use U as a vowel sound. Many Italians tend to say news, Lewis. English people today, and American people as well, they would use U, something like U. So news, Lewis. This is called fronting. You're moving the tongue towards the front part of your mouth. This means that sometimes it can be difficult to understand what they're saying because you might get one word, you might understand one word instead of saying something else. Imagine saying new, or tube instead of tube and new of the past. It can be different. Glossal stops again, quite easy. Quite easy can become quite easy. Quite easy, the T on the end can be a glossal stop again. Not only can become not only. And right can become right. What is, for example, the difference between right, pronounced with a glossal stop, and segale, rye? If you use a glottal stop in right, so if you say right, how do people distinguish the word right from rye. Sigale. How do you think they do? No. Imagine no context. These two words, right on the end of a sentence, or no sentence. The sentence is right. And the other sentence is rye. The only difference would be in the length of the vowel. If the vowel is longer, then it's sigale, rye. If the vowel is shorter, you're saying right because the T is not pronounced as a T, but it's got a glossal stop, basically. That's what happens. So you hear something like right and rye. It's not always clear. Okay. Then the L in words like milk, shelf, feel, table, middle. Now, this L is becoming a vowel today. It's becoming a vowel sort of like O or U. So you hear many people pronounce latte as milk, milk, instead of milk. Again, shelf would be shelf. Feel would be feel, feel. And table would be table. Middle would be middle. It is called L vocalization. The L is becoming a vowel. This is not only to be found in British English, but also in American English. And it is standard. Your coalescence again, Tuesday, tune, reduce, and duke, as opposed to Tuesday, tune, reduce, and duke, which we used in the past. Then the sound air. Now, can you see the symbols? You have two symbols for air. When you say giusto today, it's normally like a long air. So you would say fair. In the past, this would have been fair. Fair. This pronunciation is used by people from London who don't speak standard British English pronunciation. So it's in dictionaries, but the dictionaries are a bit old-fashioned. So in the past, again, fair, but today, fair. Fair, square, Mary. And you know, I'm sure you know that there is a difference between Maria, Mary, and sposare, marry, in British English. But if you come from America, from some parts of America, you don't usually distinguish these two words. So for some Americans, Mary and Mary have the same pronunciation. We've talked about uptalk before. Remember the intonation, rising intonation. My name's Mary Smith. But you might hear people say, my name's Mary Smith. My name's Mary Smith. And it's just like, hello, my name is. And then some people use ch after the S, as in words like strong. Some people say strong. This is part of London Cockney, but it's becoming standard. I say strong. I say student. I don't say student. I'm sorry. I'm young. Okay? That's what I say. I'm young and I say student. I'm sure my teachers would correct me if I said student. They would. Now, I was once talking to a teacher from Northern England, and he said to me, no, you don't say student. Student is not correct. It's in the dictionaries, and it's what younger people say. The older people would say student. Okay, it's not wrong, it's just different. And then the last bit here is information concerning the pronunciation of other words from other variants, basically. Varieties. Some people from Northern England don't say sing or singer, they say sing and singer. This is not standard, but it's not wrong. It's a regional pronunciation. Now, I know that there are many teachers in Italy who don't teach pronunciation, but if they want to teach pronunciation, the only thing they do is they teach this. They say, no, say, sing. From the point of view of comprehension, this is not important, because if I say sing or sing, people will understand me. And it is used, but it's not standard. And then the R pronunciation in words like ask, after, bath. Now, these words traditionally have R, as in car. But if you come from Northern England, you use them with A. So you say ask, after, bath. And in America, they say ask, after, and bath. So again, different pronunciations. Some linguists say that ask and after and bath can also be considered a standard British English pronunciation, but I don't agree. But these diphthongs, the diphthongs I, ow, a, o, might be pronounced in different ways depending where you come from. For example, I say price, I. Old-fashioned people would say price. Younger people would say price. And if you come from London, you're likely to hear something like Preuss. Preuss. But price is standard, Preuss isn't. The same with mouth. I say ow, ow, mow, but in the past it would have been o, mouth. Younger people say mouth, older people say mouth. Face, I say fey, a, face. Older people would say something like face or face, face. The Queen sometimes still says face. And if you come from Northern England, you tend to say face, e. You don't have a diphthong, you have e. And goat is the same. I say go, oat. Some people from Northern England would say goat. And if you come from Scotland, then you're likely to hear people say goat. We've talked about R, the pronunciation of R. I say short war.